Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're checking out First Descendant on Steam Deck. So in this video we're going to go over my recommended video settings and my first initial thoughts on the game. I just went to get some more footage from the open world, the semi-open world where you're doing the questing after you've finished the tutorial, to get some more footage, and the servers are down. So I can't give footage of that yet, but I will make an updated video with some footage of the open world, just so you can have an idea of the frame rates out in the open world. But first off, I'll just show you some footage from the tutorial along with what my settings are. And of course, you can tweak them to your heart's content, and you can definitely get higher frames than what I've got. But I've gone for a couple of more pretties. I mean, you're not going to get a ton of pretties here, but you do get a few. And before I go forward, I will also mention that my setup is on a Steam Deck OLED and that I am using Cryo Utilities also. So those are my two prerequisites, as I'm on an OLED and a Cryo Utilities. So your numbers may change if you're on an LCD, and it may change slightly for you. But that's just a little heads up. So we'll jump into some gameplay here, or you can see some of the cutscenes and the frame rates we're getting. And then in the second half of this video, after we've gone over the settings, and you watching gameplay, I'll give you my initial thoughts on the game. They seem kind of mixed. People aren't overly happy with this game, but I don't really have a problem with it. I'm not sure. I bet I'm not playing it hardcore, so I'm not going to be spending money. So it doesn't really bother me either way. I'll just move on to the next title if the grind becomes too much. But I don't think it's a problem. I think this is good as a casual game, right? Like, you just jump in, you play for a little while, and then you go play your big RPG or your single player shooter or whatever, and then you jump back into this as a refresher in between, or if there's a new Descendant that you want to grind out just for a couple of weeks for something to do. I don't know how that's going to go in terms of, how do you put it? You know, like the grindiness of this. You know, so I don't want to tell you that yes, it's grindy, don't play it, because honestly, I find the combat and the movement good. You know, I can't say anything bad about it. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at my settings, and I'll tell you what I've got. So we're in the options menu here, of course, and I've gone for the TAA, the Epic Games TSR. I think it's TSR is the correct word for it. Yeah, TSR. I think that has the best upscaling out of all the options of NVIDIA. We don't even have NVIDIA. The AMD FSR, the Intel XXS, and TSR from Epic is definitely the best option in my personal opinion. So, you know, try them all out, and I put it on quality. I do drop down later in this video to balanced, but I think it pulls down the image quality a little bit too far for my personal liking, and you don't need VSync on, so you can gain back a few frames by dropping VSync here. And then further down here, we've got, I put the frame rate on unlimited so you can see what we've got going on, but you should probably set it either to 30 or 40 and then go from there. Everything is on low. I put post-processing on medium, textures on medium, and I also put physics on medium, but you probably don't need physics on medium. We get with low on that and get some additional frames. And I also have the motion blur on. I think the motion blur looks really good, and it adds a nice, it makes the game look less framey. If you turn it off, you'll get a clearer image. But personally, again, it's all personal at the end of the day, isn't it, for these kind of things. I prefer it on. I think it just makes the game look a lot more smoother in motion, especially with these frame rates. But with these settings, you get a range of frames, right, with these settings. So it's between 30 and 40, and it varies depending on what you're doing. Like I say, you could set the frame rate to 30 and it'll probably sit at 30 80% of the time. Like I say, I'm only an hour, 2 hours in, so I haven't gotten to like the big boss fights or the raids or anything like that. So I can't really give you a huge lowdown on that stuff. But in initial settings wise, I think these are pretty good. Or in the comments below, let me know what you're using and we can compare and see what people are preferring. You might even get more frames if you used FSR, but I really don't like FSR. If I can not use FSR, I try not to. I think it's a really ugly upscale technique, and that was the big problem with Baldur's Gate 3.
Whoa! What the heck?
What's going on? All operatives report.
We almost died. I'm okay, by the way.
Roger that.
Damn it! It's the Vulgus!
What? I'll come help.
No need. I'll take him out, then join you.
So here I switch it over to balanced, and you'll see, I'm not sure with YouTube if you can even notice it, but the softness of the image is just, it takes a real hit here going down to balanced. And I leave it on for a little while, and you could probably get away with playing it with a soft, because this game isn't like super hardcore. It's definitely fine. You could, as you can see, you can get away on balanced, and the frame rate does lift slightly, as you can see, but it doesn't jump to such a point where I thought it was a worthwhile loss in resolution and quality. So I went back up to TSR quality and was much happier with that. The cutscenes here look pretty nice, but I personally think quality is the place to go. But please let me know in the comments below what settings you're using, and if you're enjoying the First Descendant, and if you're finding this video helpful or informative on whether or not you'd play this game on your Steam Deck, please give us a like and a sub, and I'll continue to make First Descendant content, because I actually do kind of like it. Even though I'm only a couple hours in, it's given me a good first impression, and maybe the reason for that is I look at something like Warframe, which this is basically Warframe again, but Warframe's such a steep start because that game's been around for so long. It's kind of nice to get in on the ground floor with a new game. Does that make sense? And while I did like Warframe, I find sometimes their design's a little bit too weird for some of their frames, where these guys are weird, but I don't know, it's not as weird. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe someone else understands what I mean when I say Warframe can be a bit strange. But anyway, let's move on to some more video here, and I'll give my first thoughts on the opening of the game.
The Vulgus attacked.
What's that sound?
I have synchronized with your consciousness. Focus.
So movement wise, I really like the grappling hook. I think it's really fun to zip around on. And I think the guns feel really nice so far. I've tried out a few different ones, like the scout rifle and a burst rifle, and an auto and a submachine gun. Shotguns I haven't really tried out. I started with this guy, the grenade guy, as my first character. I'm wondering if that was a mistake. I'm not really feeling this guy. I might have been better off starting with the tank fella, because in the beta eight or so months ago, I did start with the Frost Lady, and I actually was enjoying her, but I was like, I've already played her, so I'll try a different one, and I'll try the grenade guy. But not 100%. Personally, if you do pick this up, I wouldn't start with this one. Maybe start with, is it Ajax and the Frost Girl? I don't know her name off the top of my head. I'm still coming to terms with this, with some of this stuff. Because it's free to play, the menus can be a little bit overwhelming once you start getting into the weeds. I'm like, there's a lot in here. I'm not sure what all these things are. And you got mods and weapon mods, and then character mods, and then upgrades, and then you know, all the other stuff for leveling up your, like, unlocking more of the Descendants. And it is definitely a free-to-play game, and you got to learn. I don't normally play a lot of free-to-play games. Like, I play Overwatch 2 and stuff like that, but I don't. They're a bit different to this. Like, the way that the grind and the monetization works. They've got a monetized shop for cosmetics, and then another one for items. I didn't even bother looking in the item shop because I'm never going to spend the money, so it's like, well, I don't need to look. And then they've got a battle pass, and you can pay for the upgraded battle pass as well. So it's monetized every which way. I was watching a video earlier today from one of the YouTubers that I like to watch. Is it Paul Tassi? He does some good stuff with Destiny 2, as I do, like, have a fondness for Destiny 2, or Destiny 1 more so. And he wasn't really feeling this game, and I couldn't. He was pretty down on it, to be honest, and that was, like, fair enough, but I'm having a lot more fun with it than I think he is. And you know, it's free, right? Like, there's no downside in playing it. Well, I don't think so. And if you don't like it, you just hand it up. And the nice thing too, it's only 35 gigs, so you're not spending a ton of, you know, especially on Steam Deck, depending on the size of your hard drive. Like, I've got a terabyte installed in mine, so, you know, space isn't an issue. But if you're on a 250 LCD or a 512 OLED, like, 35 gigs is nothing, right? Like, it's going to grow as the game, you know, expands over time. But for now, like, I think it's pretty reasonable.
Resuming operation.
But my overall, like, first impressions is really good. The open world bits, which unfortunately I don't have video of, can be a bit weird in how they work. So here we are in the central hub here. You can see the frame rate is a little, it drops down a wee bit here, but it's definitely playable. Like, you're still in the 30s. When it's full of other players, I've definitely noticed it take a dive. But that's to be expected, and you're not doing combat here, so I don't think it's too big of a deal. My recommendation is, in the display options, don't use the sharpening. I think it gives the game a lot of artifacting and doesn't work. As you can see, we've gone back to balanced here. The frame rate drops by 2 to 3 frames now. But personally, I think it's worth it in terms of image quality. Again, it's all personal preference. You could push it really hard and get higher. I don't know whether you could get this game to 60. I actually don't know. It would be a bit tough. You could get there, but it's going to look pretty gnarly, I'd say. But with that, I'm going to leave this video here, and I will have another video with some more footage and some more thoughts once I get into the open world and can get some footage to show you the frame rates out there. And with that, I might even do some, I don't know if I do guide videos per se. Oh yeah, Leptic, that's this guy's name. But I may give some more thoughts on how to use characters like Leptic at the start, or Ajax when I unlock him, or Vanessa. But yeah, we'll go from there.